Thumbnail's acting weird, but can't do nothing about that right now, so we're stuck with it. We are stuck with it. How are you? This does not feel like a good balance of audio. Shucks. We're doing it again. How does that feel? Does that feel better? Maybe just a little. I feel like this is good. Is this fine? Is this fine for you? I think this is good. I think it's good. I think you're good. We got it. We got it. We got it. We got it. Okay. Okay. Well, yeah. For some reason, my thumbnail was not showing up, at least on my phone just now when I was looking up the video, so I can do the usual checking and making sure that audio is good. It was just showing the wrong thumbnail. It was showing the thumbnail for the last stream that I did, which is not the right thumbnail. Shucks. But, you know, we're jumping into it anyway. Anything in particular I want to tell you? Not yet. We'll get into it. We'll get into things. But Lord of the Flies is the book that I read and will be discussing this week. You probably know I am a bit ahead of you guys because my current job allows me lots of time to read, and sometimes I actually take that time to read. Other times I take it to play my Switch. I've been super into Mario Golf. Blame my husband. You good, Nugget? You good? You good? He's good now. But yeah, blame my husband. He's really gotten me into Mario Golf, and so I've been spending a lot of time playing that. Otherwise, I've been reading, and so I'm a bit ahead of you. I think at the moment there's one other book in between where we're at, and then we'll be together in this together as a team. Also, by the way, salutations. My name is Brianna Tsukiyama Bond, otherwise known as No Ordinary Scholar. Didn't get that in there last time. Just had to come back to that. But yeah, Lord of the Flies is the book that we'll be discussing right now. And yeah, it was a hoot and a half. I'm honestly, a decent amount of this audience has probably had to read it for school. If you're in the US, I don't know if it's mandatory reading. It seems like it might be something you would have as mandatory reading in the UK, but who knows, their education system might be better than ours. Although this book in particular, I do remember liking, I remember liking this. I remember really liking The Great Gatsby, which was honestly one of the first books I read for a stream. And then I remember having an appreciation for The Odyssey, though I wouldn't, saying that I liked it is a bit of a strong word, but I did have an appreciation for it. And so, yeah, I didn't hate this book. And so and actually I was reading, because I think I said last time when I told you when I was going to read this book, because I kind of just slipped it into my TBR. I have been saying that I was doing some exercises to help with writing and help with my blurb writing, and I had ended up coming across this one book that the description of it, all it did was make me want to read The Lord of the Flies. And so that's what we did. Now, just in case you've forgotten, or in case you have never had the pleasure of reading this book, let's start off with some summary. First thing you need to know, book is basically about this group of young British boys that are in a plane crash, and this plane crashes, and this young group of boys are the only survivors on this uninhabited island. Very quickly, the boys kind of split into these two factions. One is the group of people that are really focused on like practical survival-esque things. Like they want to help, they want to build shelters, they want to like keep a fire going so that way they can use that to signal a ship that passes by. The ship that passes by, which like you actually do have points where they're combating with the other group of boys, and the other group of boys is not interested and doesn't really care about having a fire up, so they don't keep the fire open. They don't keep the fire stoked and keep it up. And you know, we have a good old point where a ship goes by and they could have potentially been saved, but they weren't. And but on the other hand, you do, and that group of boys is meant to represent civilization, you know, being a good member of society and like having a society in general. The other group of boys are super duper into hunting, and they are like 100% focused on hunting and killing pigs that are on the island. And they are supposed to represent savages. Savages. And you have these two groups of boys just like constantly butting heads as they try to survive on this island without any adults. And because there are no adults to tell them this is the better way to try and stay alive, although we'll get into this later, but I don't know how it would depend on the adult whether or not they'd actually be useful. The fuck was that? But yeah, not every adult's really gonna be useful in this situation. I'm so sorry. But they're constantly just butting heads about how to survive, and there's no adult or like real authority figure that can guide them. So they're just trying to figure it out for themselves as these very young boys. So let's talk about some like things throughout the book and some quotes and notes that I took during the book. Honestly, I took way more notes on this book than I've taken for anything else. I have like 4 pages of notes. We're not going to go over all of them, but the notes will be available on my Patreon. Hey. But yeah, so first thing I had to take a note of was when you have pretty early on, Ralph is the leader of these civilized boys, and fuck is his name? Scott? Steven? Not Simon. Jack. Jack is the leader of these savages, and Jack, at the very beginning of the book, they're trying to like explore to find out first and foremost if they are on an island. And whilst in this whole area, while doing all of this, they come across this pig that like they end up grabbing hold of, and Jack, who for some reason just happened to bring like a hunting knife on this plane ride that wasn't supposed to land in an abandoned island but did, so I guess he was prepared. He takes his hunting knife and he hesitates to kill the pig, and it gets away. And so you have this quote of, he tried to convey the compulsion to track down and kill that was swallowing him up. He tried to convey the compulsion to track down and kill that was swallowing him up. And like essentially saying like he was just so overcome by the need to make up for the fact that he didn't kill that one pig by proving that he could do it, and he could be the hunter, and he could kill, and he could feed them with the hunt. That really, like, especially that specific sentence, really just screamed toxic masculinity to me. So just wanted to throw that out there. And you also have an argument that they have later on where, because essentially there's a big issue of, for the most part, it took a while before Jack and his hunters ever actually caught any meat. And so you have this issue where Ralph and those boys are trying to like get shelters together because it's gonna start storming soon, and they want shelters. They want to like try and keep track of the little kids, and they need help with that. But Jack keeps taking all these fucking guys to go hunt, and now Jack has taken all of these guys away from the fire, and they let the fire go out, and there was a boat that went by, and no one was able to like see them and potentially rescue them. And so Jack's like, what else are we supposed to do? We need all of the guys in order to like circle around the pig and hunt down the pig. Which I'll probably be comparing this book several times to the United States, but doesn't that just remind you of those people who are like, what do you mean I need an automatic gun in order to hunt a deer? Sweetheart, I think you're just bad at this. I just think you're bad at this. And I think practice is what you need, not this over dramatic excessive shit. But it's just me. But he's like, I need all of these guys in order to do this, and we want meat, and so that needs to take precedence. And Ralph says, and I work all day with nothing but Simon, and you come back and don't even notice the huts that I've built. And there was, towards the beginning, Jack and Ralph, the two leads of the two camps, though at this point they are not split up into camps, really sound like a married couple, especially like a married couple where you have like one person that has a creative job and the other person that has a more traditional job. And so you have one person that's like constantly like defending the thing, even though like there's been no fruition to it, and the other person's like, okay, but like practically I'm building shelters and we need shelters. We don't know when we'll be able to get meat. You haven't been able to get meat, so we need to do the things that we know we can do right now. And granted, that's something that is debatable. I have to be with Ralph on this one of like, fire is probably the most important thing, getting a single fire and keeping that going. Shelter is like really high up on the list, like keeping track of however many kids you have, that's pretty high on my list. So I have to be like, it's definitely a different conversation. One of them's a debate, the other one's like, I truly think Jack is wrong here. But it's just the way they talk to each other has that like sitcom-y couples argument style to it. It was interesting to read. Part that like I genuinely almost cried at, like, because they're obviously tensions are growing, and you just get to a point where Ralph just asks point blank to Jack, why do you hate me? And I almost cried. I was so sad. But then you do get into the point where they are able to kill some pigs, and might I say, when we get to that point in the book, it no longer becomes child friendly, and I'm very curious as to why I was reading this book as required reading in middle school, when there are such gory and gruesome passages as, here, struck down by the heat, the sow fell, and the hunters hurled themselves at her. This dreadful eruption from an unknown world made her frantic. She squealed and bucked at the air, and the air was full of sweat and noise and blood and terror. The pile of guts was a blob of flies that buzzed like a saw. Nothing prospered but the flies who blackened their lord and made the split guts look like a heap of glistening coal. And yeah, I don't know if you caught it, but the lord of the flies in the book, there's this point in time where where you have these kids, the like littlest kids, start getting really scared and start feeling like there might be a beast on the island, and that is something that is able. What do you mean no data? Are we good? Everything seems alright. Okay. You get to this point where you have these kids who are just scared, and they start to think that there's a beast on the island, and that idea spreads around the bigger kids, and now everyone's just stressed, high tension, and that is honestly something that kind of pushes over the battle between the two groups, and they end up separating. But you have the hunters who at this point started actually catching pigs and killing them, and you've seen them at this point, they're starting to cut off the heads of the pigs, put them on spikes, and use them as offerings to the beast, to get the beast to leave them alone. And they just describe the Lord of the Flies is this pig head that is this symbol of the savagery that these boys have sunk into, and how it has rotted them to the core and stuff like that. But yeah, so you have the little kids. They're scared. They scared everyone else, and now the two groups have separated. Hopefully that wasn't. Hopefully, you still know where I'm at with this. Hopefully. And the next part of the next kind of like era of the book, I guess, section, era, part, whatever. The next part is not any less gruesome because at this point the Savage Boys start murdering people and they end up killing two of the other boys in the group. And no, it's not pleasant at all. How it ends up happening is the first boy is Simon. He was away from the group for a hot minute because he had an epileptic seizure. And what do you mean no data? My whole thing is freaking out, but it doesn't seem like it's causing the stream to stop. So we're gonna keep going. Yeah. So you have this boy Simon who had an epileptic seizure and essentially spent like a day or two staring at this pighead because he could not do anything else. He couldn't move until like he finally fell unconscious. His blood vessels were popping. He was not okay. And after he's able to like leave that area, he goes up the mountain where a group of kids had previously said that they thought they saw the beast, and in reality it was a man who with a parachute who had been blown out of the sky, and it was a dead body, fell into the trees, but the wind up from up high on the mountain would like blow his parachute, and then the parachute would move his body, and that's what scared them. And Simon's finding this, lets the man out of the tree, and then wants to go back and go tell the other boys that there's no monster, there's no beast, it was a dead man. And as he's trying to go over there and like tell them this, they are already like super hyped. They've been doing this dance they've been like doing to try and hype them up to kill the beast, and he kind of crawls in because again he's had like a seizure. He is not okay, and he's also tired, he's hungry, he's thirsty, he's not okay. So he crawls in and they end up attacking and killing him, despite the fact that he is screaming to them and talking to them as they're trying to kill him. Like it literally says in the book, the blue-white scar was constant, the noise unendurable. Simon was crying out something about a dead man on a hill. So they knew who it was, and they knew it was a person that they were killing as they were killing him. But they end up killing him. And I believe his body is flushed away to sea, along with the second person they kill, Piggy, who is this bigger kid that they've just been bullying the whole time they've been on this goddamn island. And frankly, none of the kids really seem to like him to begin with. He and Ralph, they like savage kids because they didn't have any means of creating fire aside from taking Piggy's glasses and using it to focus sunlight. They raid Ralph and his camp and his kids to steal the glasses. And so Piggy, Ralph, and Sam and Eric, the twins that are conjoined into they decide, instead of trying to remember who's who, just join them into Sam and Eric as one being with two bodies. But they go up to try and confront the savage kids about this whole situation, and they're throwing rocks, like boulders, I believe. They're like pushing boulders off the mountain at Piggy, and one of them knocks him off, and he falls, hits his head on another rock, it splits open, and he dies. And this time they have, because when they've killed Simon, you have several points where they are even trying to deny that it could possibly be Simon. Like they say, in the silence that followed, each savage flinched away from his individual memory. No, how could we kill it? I expect the beast disguised itself. Like they're trying to convince themselves that they didn't do it. and that they were in no way participating in it, and that they didn't do what they actually did. But this time when they killed Piggy, they are aware. Like there isn't any like bloodlust to coat what they did. They're aware 100% that they did it, and they kind of don't care. They're actually acknowledge, like, yeah, we did this on purpose. We wanted to do this. And so after the death of Piggy, you end up having these kids go full murder mode and decide that they want to plan a hunt to kill Ralph. And so yeah, that's the idea. They end up trying to intentionally hunt down and kill Ralph, and they almost do it. But at the end of the book, a boat comes, and a ship guy, a like captain or a sailor of a ship has come by and has saved their lives. But keep a hold of that thought whilst it comes through and whilst we go through, because I believe next season if you hadn't noticed, I have one other main channel and one other vlog that I want to just get out of the way before I go on my hiatus, which will probably be happening soon. I should be moving soon, so my hiatus should be happening soon. Won't take a hiatus from these streams, although we'll get into that later. But once we get back from hiatus, just talking about whether or not those kids, like whether or not Ralph actually ends up dying, might be my first video. Who knows? We'll see what happens. But I do think there are several questionable things about the whole they survived thing. I didn't mind this book. I said this last stream, but the way it was written is very similar to the way the book Benti was written. And it was like there were a lot of really great images and like really great imagery, but it's written in kind of like a short, quick, very pointed fashion that I had to get used to. But this helped me not only get used to and like appreciate the writing in Benti more, but it helped me expand my like world and like thought process on like the structure of writing and description and stuff like that. I didn't mind it at all. Was it my favorite book? No. Do I think it's weird that this gory as hell book in which 2 kids get murdered is required reading? Yes, I do. Do I think this is 1000% like the state of the US right now? Absolutely. Like, it was weird. I went through the reviews for this book because I was like, it's required reading. I wonder what the reviews are like. And so many people are like, it's so unrealistic. What? I'm sorry, unrealistic? I think it hits way too close to home, especially when you like there's a whole thought on like the more fascist side of politics right now, thinking that they're not necessarily standing by a personal point of view or a belief system, as opposed to just standing by the need to want to be able to do whatever they want whenever they want and follow whatever compulsion arises at the moment. And that's really like the Jack and his crew wanting to hunt because they want to hunt to the end. They want to like satisfy this need to kill, as opposed to doing things based on priority for their overall long-term survival. And it's like the fight for behaving civilized and holding a civilized society, or just doing whatever the fuck you want. You know, USA. That's reflected right there. So I was really surprised that so many people found it so unrealistic. I found it to be in like just like very accurate to today, as well as like as very accurate to and realistic. I found it to be basically what we're going through now. So it was probably something that was going on prior. It's heartbreaking. It's hard. That was the hardest part to read about it. It was like realizing how close to our society all of the shenanigans were. It was rough. But yeah, I will likely be doing a video on it. And you know, if you want to get some sneak peeks on that, you can get my notes. They will be on Patreon. I cannot guarantee you when they will be on Patreon. I can try my hardest to get them up tonight, but I will be working literally all day the next 4 days, so wouldn't have my fingers crossed for any of those days. And then Monday, if not today, Monday's probably a good chance that I'll get it up. Maybe we'll be streaming next week, maybe we won't be. Again, I hopefully am moving next week, so it just depends on what things look like. But the next stream that I will be doing is going to be on An Absolutely Remarkable Thing by Hank Green. That book is already read, and I just need to organize the notes for it, and then we'll be ready to stream. After that will be, and I said this wrong the last stream, it will be Flight by Angie Sage. That is the third book in the Septimus Heat series. I kept saying Quest, and I genuinely started Quest. Like, I checked it out from the library. Thank God it was just an ebook. But I checked it out from the library, and I started reading it, and I was like, I'm proud of myself because it wasn't even like a full chapter in. But I was like, this doesn't feel right. Let me Google the order of the books. It was the wrong book. We are reading not Flight. God damn it, Brianna. We're reading Physic. Physic is the third book in the Septimus Heat by Angie Sage series. So we're reading Physic right now. Oh my lord, I'm tired. I have so much work to keep going into. I have 2 videos to get out to you guys. I do have, if you didn't see already, there was a video that came out today, and I'm actually really proud of it. I thought it was really fun to make. I thought it was a really good video. It is the Challenging the Canadian Lad video on my channel. Go check it out right now. Thank you so much for watching, and till next time, valedictions, friends. Oh my god, I'm tired.